Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Shri Bhagavan Vacha Hantate Katayishyami Divyahi Atma Vibhutaya Pradhan Nyata Kurushrecha Nasti Anto Vistarasyame. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Yes, I will tell you of my splendorous manifestations, but only of those which are prominent, O Arjuna, for my opulence is limitless." Purport: it is not possible to comprehend the greatness of Krishna and his opulences. The senses of the individual soul are limited and do not permit him to understand the totality of Krishna's affairs. Still, the devotees try to understand Krishna, but not on the principle that they will be able to understand Krishna fully at any specific time or in any state of life. Rather, the very topics of Krishna are so relishable that they appear to the devotees as nectar. Thus, the devotees enjoy them. In discussing Krishna's opulences and his diverse energies, the pure devotees take transcendental pleasure. Therefore, they want to hear and discuss them. Krishna shows that living entities do not understand the extent of his opulences. He therefore agrees to state only the principal manifestations of his different energies. The word pradhanyata, principle, is very important because we can understand only a few of the principal details of the Supreme Lord. For his features are unlimited. It is not possible to understand them all. And vibhuti, as used in this verse, refers to the opulences by which he controls the whole manifestation. In the Amara Kosha dictionary, it is stated that vibhuti indicates an exceptional opulence. The impersonalist or pantheist cannot understand the exceptional opulences of the Supreme Lord, nor the manifestations of his divine energies. Both in the material world and in the spiritual world, his energies are distributed in every variety of manifestation. Now Krishna is describing what can be directly perceived by the common man. Thus part of his variegated energy is described in this way.
Very good. Yeah, so now Krishna is going to tell more specifically about his opulences. So the thing is that in the beginning he just gave, you can say, general manifestation. You can say he gave that he is the creator, he is the sustainer and the destroyer, he is the soul of everything. It's like general manifestations, right? But then now he comes to, you can say, lesser manifestations, but which are very particular. That he's going to say now he says he's a super soul, but actually this is still quite general. But now he's going to get into to say that he's the sun god. He's Rudra. So like that. So this is all for the pleasure of his devotees, and for those who wants to become his devotees. So let's see. So text 21, there it says, Adityana Maham Vishnur, Yotisham Ravir Am Shuman, Marichir Marutam Asmi, Nakshatrana Maham Shashi. He says, of the Adityas I am Vishnu, of lights I am the radiant sun, of the Maruts I am Marichi, and among the stars I am the moon. Yeah, so there are 12 Adityas, of which Krishna is the principal, Prabhupada says in the commentary here. Among all the luminaries shining in the sky, the sun is the chief, and in the Brahma Samhita, the sun is accepted as a glowing eye of the Supreme Lord. Yeah, so just discuss a little bit about the sun. We have done a lot about that previously. We had a separate video about the sun god. It's said that the sun god is the soul of the universe. So it's a famous mantra from Rig Veda. Surya Atma Jagatashta. Let's see. He's the self of the moving and the non-moving living beings. Why is it that? Because he gives the energy for everything that's living. They need energy from the sun, and that energy is called prana. Yep, he's a giver of the prana. It's a very subtle thing. This is a pure life energy he's giving. And it said that yogis, they who are expert, they can just tap in the sun energy directly. They don't need to get the prana through plants, because otherwise we know that the plants, they're being filled up with the sun's energy, and that's why when we eat them, we are getting the sun energy into our body, right? But those who are expert yogis, they get it straight from the sun rays into through their skin, or through their breathing even. So in another way, it said that Surya Pratyaksha Devata, that's another Vedic statement, which says that it said that he is the visible. The sun is the visible God. Yep. We cannot see God, right? But if we are going to see God in some or other, in a form visible to our eyes, then this is the way we can see Him. Yeah, because there is nobody as glorious as the sun. You see in religious pictures in Christianity and Hindu and so many religions, they put like a glory around the person, the saint, right?
Yeah.
Or the great prophet or something like that. They put the glory around that person. And that's actually, huh?
Is this called a halo? Or?
Yeah, it's called a halo. Yeah. And this practice seems to be as old as humanity itself. Like, for example, you have the throne of the king. A Vedic king, the Kshatriya, great ruler, he has the throne of Surya. You can see the sunrise around. You've seen this kind of thrones. You can see they have made in the throne itself on the sides all around in like a helio. So the king is also in that way representing the sun, or representing God. That's the idea of the original king. Yeah. So in that way he is the representative of God on the earth. So this is not what you can say. In Norway sometimes it can be accused avgudsdyrkelse, yeah. But it's not actually that. What is that called in English?
Idol worship.
Idol worship, yeah. But actually it's not. This is Krishna's arrangement that is represented in the sun. I mean, he says himself that he is the Adityanam. And there's this thing, there are 12 Adityas. Actually, there are the 12 sons of Aditi, that's where the name is coming. And the 12th one, that is the sun god. The 11 before that is not the sun god, actually. So in that way, you can say he's the Aditya, but he's the main Aditya, you can say. The most famous one. Yeah. And sometimes it's said that actually the sun god, he gets these different 11 other names. Actually, he gets 12 different names of the 12 Adityas for each month of the sun. Sometimes you have that kind of setup, that the sun actually there is a different Aditya for each month who is ruling. Yeah. So in that way, the sun is also actually representing the number 12. Just like Rudra or Shiva is represented by, actually Rudra is actually the original, and Shiva is just one of the 11. So Rudra is represented by the number 11 also. We'll get to that in the next verse. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, so what more do you have here? Marut. You heard about the wind god?
Marut?
Yeah, Marut. Yeah. So Prabhupada says in the commentary here, he says there are 50 varieties of wind blowing in space, and of these winds, the controlling deity Marichi represents Krishna. Yeah. So there are yeah. So there was the story that Diti, there were two sisters, Aditi and Diti. So they're both married to Kashyapa. So Diti, she was kind of the bad one. So she got the original demon. Actually, the two twin demons, Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. And of course they were bad, as we know. And because of that, later when she got another child, then Indra wanted to kill that child. And that child was actually Indra some or other, she took a vow to I think she took some kind of vrata, that she should be very pure and like that for a month or more. So she should get a very strong son, and actually that son would be like I think he would be able to even take over the demigods. So Indra was very careful that he wanted to kill this baby.
Yeah.
So but he could only do that if she was breaking her cleanliness principle. So one of the things that Diti had to follow, that she, before getting to bed at night, she needed to wash her feet, and after eating she needed to wash her mouth and hands. Yeah. So I think one time maybe she forgot to wash her feet or mouth before going to bed. And then Indra, he went in through that dosha, through that fault. He could enter her body. So he entered her womb in his subtle form, and he went in there and he cut the embryo into 50 pieces. Yes. And then each piece, they started crying and they say, hey, what are you doing? Because Indra is one of the, he's in the family, so he's their brother. Indra is one of the Adityas. So they said, you are our brother, why are you killing us? Why did you do like that? So they say, no, please keep us alive. So Indra didn't go further, so he just let them be. So they now were 50 Maruts. and Indra was actually okay, so he accepted them as his brothers. So these 50 Maruts, they're working under Indra as wind gods. Amazing, yeah? Indra wanted to kill them, but he spared them, and since they're his little brothers, he's the big brother. So they're happily working under him, and they're helping him when there is storms, and stuff like that. Then they're really getting busy. Yeah. So anyway, so these are gods we cannot see, but we can see the effects of them. And then Prabhupada says, among the stars, the moon is the most prominent at night, and thus the moon represents Krishna. So here comes a little controversial statement. It appears from this verse that the moon is one of the stars. Therefore, the stars that twinkle in the sky also reflect the light of the sun. The theory that there are many suns within the universe is not accepted by Vedic literature. The sun is one, and as by the reflection of the sun the moon illuminates, so also do the stars. Since Bhagavad Gita indicates herein that the moon is one of the stars, the twinkling stars are not suns, but are similar to the moon. But actually there are a few different versions of this, because one place in the Bhagavatam, just to make it even more complicated, it said that on each of these stars is actually it's rishis there, and because rishis are naturally effulgent, wise men who have done a lot of tapas, so they're just shining so much, so that's why they're.
But that makes sense, because the source of the shine in all cases is the sun, right? The Krishna's representative.
Yeah. So they're reflecting Krishna's shining power. So these things are in other words not really just physical, they are metaphysical. Yeah, these are on the Adidavika level. It's not just physical, that you have the sun and it's reflecting like that. It's not necessarily that easy.
No.
And on top of that, rishis, they are often doing fire sacrifices and use kusha grass. And this kusha grass is also so illuminating, so it's sometimes described as being like fire. And so that's another explanation why these stars seems fiery, is because there is so much kusha grass burning, looking like it's burning.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. So here it's said that you only have you don't only have one moon, you have like a whole series of moons, and there is only one burning planet per se, who is actually burning with Agni, fire, and that's the sun. The other ones, they look like they're burning, but they're actually not. They're reflecting the light somehow or other of the Lord Himself or of the sun. That's the idea. So okay, let's look at the text 22. You like to read, Prabhu?
Okay. Vedanam samavedo smi devanam asmi vasava indriyanam manas chasmi bhutanam asmi chetana. Of the Vedas, I am the Samaveda. Of the demigods, I am Indra, the king of heaven. Of the senses, I am the mind. And in living beings, I am the living force, consciousness. Purport. The difference between matter and spirit is that matter has no consciousness like the living entity. Therefore, this consciousness is supreme and eternal. Consciousness cannot be produced by a combination of matter.
Exactly. Yeah, so did I think somewhere else probably is explaining about the Samaveda.
Oh.
The Samaveda is the place where you have all the nice songs. It's like musical compositions, yeah. Glorifying the Lord, of course, like that.
And it also confirms this, or relates our discussion on the universal and planetary moon and sun, that in living beings he is the living force.
Yeah. Here it says Chetana. Yeah, so that means... what does the word for word says? Chetana, doesn't it mean consciousness?
The living force, yeah. And it's in brackets, consciousness.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, good. And there is also interesting that of the senses, he is the mind. So the mind is sometimes called the 11th sense.
Yeah, the principles of all the senses.
And that's because all the senses are existing in the mind, actually. So this is like a very subtle concept, really. How does the senses, which are actually subtly existing, how do they become gross, right? And then there is a whole system which tries to explain, or which explains how you have this original atoms of the different elements. You have earth atom, water atom, wind atom, like that, and they're combined together. And that's the combination is like that you have one part, the main part. How was it again? I don't remember the percentage, but the main percentage is like of the element itself, and then it takes 1/4 of each of the four others and combine with each of them. So say you have the earth element. So say you have 50% of the earth element, and then it takes 1/4 of all the four other elements and combine with these. Then it becomes actually manifested in the gross earth form. Yeah. And so in that way, each element actually have a few of the others. They have all the others, but just in a very lesser degree inside. So in that way, it actually become gross, which is visible and tangible for the gross senses. Yeah.
And I'm guessing there's multiple ways you can arrange also these to make even more variations.
Yeah, I'm pretty much sure. I'm sure they will come up with some for how do you get the senses into the cyberspace, for example. Yeah. So anyway, the mind is really central for all of this. Without the mind, nothing of this is going to happen. So yeah, it's said that it is the boss of the senses. So now we come to text 23, and then here's Rudra. Rudranam Shankaras Chasmi, Viteshu Yaksha Rakshasam, Vasunam Pavakas Chasmi, Meru Shikarinam Aham. Of all the Rudras, I am Lord Shiva. Of the Yakshas and Rakshasas, I am the Lord of Wealth, Kuvera. Of the Vasus, I am Fire, Agni, and of mountains, I am Meru. So Prabhupada says that there are 11 Rudras, of whom Shankara, Lord Shiva, is predominant. He is the incarnation of the Supreme Lord in charge of the mode of ignorance in the universe. The leader of the Yakshas and Rakshasas is Kuvera, the master treasurer of the demigods. And he is a representation of the Supreme Lord. Meru is a mountain famed for its rich natural resources. Well, Meru is also, a celestial mountain. It really isn't visible to our eyes. It's called usually it's called Sumeru. Yeah, and that's the mountain which was used for churning, the milk ocean, right? And you know how that mountain is looking? It's looking like an inverse cone. You know a cone? So it starts. So this inverse means it's upside. So it starts small, like a small round, and then it become bigger and bigger. And on the top of that cone, then you are actually on the top of the universe, and there you have you have Brahma's city there, Brahmapuri. Yeah. And yeah, there is so many descriptions, like, this is very central, this Sumeru, because the sun god is actually traveling around this Sumeru on the Manasutara mountain, and that's, fasten your seatbelts, that's a round mountain. It's like a bicycle wheel, right? But it's flat on the top. So the Surya Dev is traveling on his chariot, which only has one wheel. One wheeled chariot, okay? He's traveling in a circle on top of this flat Manasutara mountain around Mount Meru, and because he's on one side, then the Mount Meru is blocking the sunlight, so that's why it's night and day. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it's actually so crazy, because a lot of these things you are talking about, it's like I have fragments of memories of these things.
Yeah, because this has been this kind of understanding has been rampant not only in Asian culture but also in the West, actually. It's famous that they found this solhjulet. Solhjulet was found in Denmark, archaeological finding, and guess what it was? It is the wheel of the sun, and it's only one wheel, and it's attached a horse to it. And the archaeologists are 100% sure this is the same, as the Surya, from India. How on earth did it come to Denmark, right? And then these 11 Rudras, you know the story. They were created by Lord Brahma becoming angry because he got in the 4 Kumaras. The 4, we mentioned earlier, eternal brahmacharis. They didn't want, he asked, please get married and get children. They didn't want. So he became angry because they choose, these 4 Kumaras to remain eternal children. Below puberty, so they will never get the sex drive, so they will never get children. They're perfect brahmacharis, right? But Lord Brahma had been instructed by Vishnu that he should people the universe. He should populate with people and species and everything. So he was angry then, and out from his third eye was manifested Rudra. And Rudra came out, and you know what he did? He was angry because, he was created by anger, right? So he was so angry he started burning up the whole universe. Actually, there were 11 of them. They split. It just, original one, and then immediately was 11. And what Lord Brahma did, he just calmed down Rudras and said, please just sit and meditate. When there is, the end of the kalpa, the end of the periodic time of the universe, for each day of Brahma there is a kalpa. And then the Rudra is allowed to be let loose, and he's dancing his Tandava Nritya, dance of anger. And by that he's burning up the whole universe. Yeah. But there was one of them, these Rudras who were very peaceful, and that is Lord Shiva. Shiva means, he's peaceful. Yeah. So that Lord Shiva is the best one. Yeah, so he's the most worshipable of these 11 Rudras. That's why he's highlighted. Have you heard anything about Lord Shiva like that?
No, I understood he was actually a very saintly character.
Yeah, he was the best of the Rudras. So he got specifically blessed by Lord Vishnu, and he's the father of us. He's the father of the whole universe. Actually, he's giving us everything by his mystical meditation. Actually, he empowers his Shakti, his wife. I was just reading that earlier today about Durga Devi. Shrishti stiti pralaya sadhana shakti reka chayeva yasya bhubanani bibarti Durga. So his wife is Durga, and she is actually responsible for the visible creation, maintenance, and destruction. You can say the invisible creation, maintenance, and destruction, or those who are giving the energy for that. That is, Lord Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, respectively. Shiva is taking care of the destruction, Vishnu maintenance, and Lord Brahma creation. But then under there again, as a secondary creator, maintain and destroy, that's Durga Devi's job, because she is the Maya Devi person. She is the the illusory energy. where things seemingly are destroyed, created, and maintained. But actually, it's all happening in the dream of Mahavishnu. Yeah. So you heard about the Vasus?
Yeah.
What did you hear about them before? So I don't need to tell if you already know.
Because he said it's one of them is Agni, so I guess it's all the elemental demigods.
You're very correct. Yes. I think there are 8. Yeah, 8 elemental, or maybe there are 4. I don't remember now. Yeah. Yeah, and the Lord of Wealth. You see, he has a special relationship with the Rakshas and Yakshas and Rakshasas. You know, the Yakshas and Rakshasas are sometimes called man-eaters, right?
Yeah, they're like uncivilized men.
Yeah, but you know, like anybody, you know, you can go to any kind of, you know, bad group, but there will always be some good people, right?
Yeah.
Wherever you go, you can even in, you know, you can always find some actually good people in any kind of situation. So
Yes.
so the good Yakshas and Rakshasas, they work for Kuber. I mean, not all of them are good, but there are a few who are actually very good. And they also work for the sun god even. They're taking care of the horses of the sun god. Because sometimes actually it's explained he has more horses than one. I don't really understand how that is. But I think it was 7 horses he has. Yeah, like that. And so Yakshas are the most close ones to Kuber, as far as I remember, because Yaksha also means to protect. So they're protecting, or Raksha also means to protect. But some of the Yakshas, they're protecting the wealth of Kuvera. So they are actually they're kind of, you know, his sons, even sometimes mentioned. They are like his sons. They have a very close relationship. It makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
So they are in actually Lord Shiva's place, which is called Kailash. That's where they're residing. So they're also related to Shiva. You know, I mean, it's all, you know, as you can understand, Tamaguna. And Kuvera, although he's very rich, he's not looking very good, actually. He's not very beautiful. So I don't remember, he got a curse or something. I think I heard that. Kuver, the Lord of Wealth.
Oh, Kuver.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember now. We can get back to that later.
Yeah.
I think he got cursed. At least in one of the stories, he got kind of not a good look.
It would make sense. He's like a tax collector thing, or he's
Yeah. But then again, whenever there is anything happening, he just shows up and show all saintly qualities. You have the story in the Bhagavatam where Dhruva Maharaj, he starts fighting with the Yakshas because the Yakshas killed his brother. And Dhruva was at that time, you know, the king of the world. And, you know, back in the day, to be king of the world was not only king of Earth planet, it was king of the universe. So he is fighting with the universal Yakshas. And the Yakshas, they show their mystical powers, that they also are masters of creating illusions. So that's one up for the, you know, conspiracy theorists, that they are great at creating, you know, things that not actually existing, you know, pictures like that. So they were creating, you know, demons in the sky, that they were raining, you know, meteors, and, you know, all kinds of mad, you know, illusions they were creating, and they created, everything became completely dark. Some or other, you know, Dhruva, he just kept on fighting. He didn't become swayed by all these things, but he wanted to kill them all. So then at one point, you know, Lord Brahma, he thought, now enough is enough, and Swayambhuva was also there. So they just sent, you know, Kuvera to try and ease him up. And Kuvera came, and now Kuvera showed his real character as a real saint. He wasn't angry at him for killing, you know, his people. He just said, please stop, you know, you should always be forgiving, you know. Even somebody who hurt you, you should be also be. This is the character of one who is a devotee of Krishna. He just says straight out. He comes to bhakti. And then he says, you know, actually, you know, nobody is actually killed. Nothing is actually really happening. It's just the loose surrender to the Lord who's going on. So please don't get too much into this illusion, you know. And then Dhruva Maharaj is just completely, you know, whoa, he got a real wake-up call. And he just is completely pacified, and he stops fighting because Kuvera pacified him by, you know, the higher knowledge. And then Kuvera is saying, no, you know, I'm happy. I think he even gives him a gift. So like that. So you want to read the next verse?
Da sam cha Vidi Partha Braspati Senaninam Aham Skanda Sarasam Asmi Sagara.
Yeah.
Priests, O Arjuna, know me to be the chief, Brihaspati. Of generals, I am Kartikeya, and of bodies of water, I am the ocean. Report, Indra is the chief demigod of the heavenly planets, and is known as the king of the heavens. The planet on which he reigns is called Indraloka. Brihaspati is Indra's priest, and since Indra is the chief of all kings, Brihaspati is the chief of all priests. And as Indra is the chief of all kings, similarly Skanda, or Kartikeyan, the son of Parvati and Lord Shiva, is the chief of all military commanders. And of all bodies of water, the ocean is the greatest. These representations of Krishna only give hints of his greatness.
Exactly, it's just hints.
Yeah.
Because he's most great. So let's see. We have a few more demigods here. Let's see. So you have a Brihaspati. He's the chief priest of the demigods. You know, this is a famous. He's the guru. You have the days in the week, and one of the days is called Guru actually. Now wait a minute. Yeah. He represents Jupiter. So Brihaspati is the planet Jupiter. Okay. So it's a very auspicious planet. I think it's represented by, was it Thursday, if I'm not wrong? Yeah. So whenever somebody is religious, or very spiritually powerful like that, they then have a good guru in their horoscope. Yeah. And you can say almost on the converse, you have Kartikeya, and he's the leader of the. He's the leader of fighters, of military commanders. Because he was created just for the sake of killing a demon. What was the name of the demon? I forgot. But this is the usual story. Some demons have taken over, the heavenly planets. And as usual, then the heavenly residents headed by Indra, they go to Brahma for help, and Brahma is praying to Vishnu, and Vishnu says, "Yes, I will arrange, for some incarnation to come and help you," right? And that time, they needed a specific incarnation because this specific demon, which I forgot the name on, it starts with T. Anyway, whatever his name was, he had done a lot of tapasya, and as usual, the story is always very similar. He did so much tapasya that Lord Brahma came and said, "Okay, how can I help?" And he always said in the beginning, the demon, he said, "I want to become. Nobody can kill me, right? That's what all the demons want. I can just do whatever I want without." And then Brahma is saying, "No, sorry, I cannot do that." And then in a roundabout way, the demon will then ask, "Okay, so I cannot be killed in the day, in the night," just like. And then that demon, he said, "Okay, so let it be that I can only be killed by a 6-year-old boy." And he thought that would be impossible, right? No 6-year-old boy can, And of course, then the demigods thought, we need some great powerful person in this universe to give birth to a boy who is so strong that just at 6 years he can kill, this demon. And guess who they went to? They went to Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva at that time, he was alone. Guess why he was alone? Because his wife had burned herself to death. That was the old Sati, at the Daksha Yaga. Daksha was, offending Shiva. Sati was, the daughter of Daksha. She had married Shiva, and, Daksha was not very happy with Shiva because Shiva didn't dress up very nicely, He was sitting in the cremation ground, smeared himself with ashes and skull around his neck. So Daksha never liked really Lord Shiva. So he was talking bad about him at his yagya. And Sati didn't like, her husband to be, abused in that way. So she sat in protest and did self-combustion by her yogic meditation. So at this time, Shiva is sitting alone, and the demigods, they think, actually Sati has reincarnated again, and she was now the daughter of Parvata, the mountain, Himalaya mountain. Yeah. As we are told about before, the mountains, they have like their Adibautika, form as just, material like a mountain, but then there is a god behind it, and that was Parvata, and because his name Parvata means mountain, and then the daughter will be Parvati. Yeah. So Parvati, she went, and she saw Shiva sitting there in meditation, and she tried to kind of, I wouldn't say seduce him, but some or other it was help, because the demigods, they sent, Manmata, or what you call Cupid. That's the god of love. Yeah. And he came together with Rati, which is spring, or also means enjoyment. So the springtime came, and all, nice flowers, and a nice breeze, and kind of nice atmosphere for love. Yeah, came together with Cupid, and Cupid was shooting his arrows like anything at Lord Shiva. And Shiva, he opened up his eyes, and he was super angry, because he was disturbed in his meditation. And Parvati was sitting right there, and he didn't want to fall in love, so he was just looking at Cupid, and he burned Cupid to ashes. Right? You heard the story before? And then after that, Cupid will not have a body anymore. So Cupid is called Ananga. So Cupid, he was kind of excused later on, so he could still be around, but he couldn't have a visible body. So back in the day, you could actually see Cupid with his arrow shooting. So now he's invisible. So anyway, she was like, okay, so he packed up his meditation and he got married to Parvati. And the story is quite hilarious. You like to hear the story, how the marriage was going on? Because she was, the daughter of the mountain, right? So Parvata, Himalaya mountain, he invited all his pals to the wedding. All mountains, they came to the wedding. So all the mountains came to the wedding, a great wedding of him and of Shiva and Parvati, and they created imbalance in the earth, So the earth was going out of the balance because of all the weight of all these mountains in one place. So then the demigods had to find some solution, So there was one mountain which tried to stop going to the marriage. Because it was a big mountain, so they wanted him to bow down in the opposite direction. So then you have the sage, what's his name again? I think it's Agastya. Yeah, Agastya Muni. It was he went to the south, and there was this what was the name of the mountain again? I think it may be Mount Vindala mountain. And this mountain was very religious, so when the sage came, he wanted to bow down. So Agastya Muni said, yeah, just bow down, so I can cross you very easily. And then Agastya Mountain said, no, Vindhya Mountain said to Agastya, when should I raise myself up again? And Agastya said, you can raise yourself up again after I come back and cross you again, then you can raise up. And of course, Agastya never came back. He went to the south, and he created, the Tamil Vedas. He created a new version of the Vedic scriptures in Tamil language over there in Tamil Nadu. And he never went back, So since that, the Vindhya mountain was bowing down very nicely and was making sure that the earth didn't fall out of orbit. Yeah. So just a small, side story. Yeah. So and then of bodies of water, the ocean is the greatest. Yeah. We have the ocean is also, Varuna is there. Varuna.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's the lord actually of the underworld. Of the underworld. Yeah, he's a very mystical person actually. In some religions, they have worshipped him as the god actually, Varuna. Yeah, there is actually a great deal of connections between him and the Zarathustra religion actually. Varuna is big over there. So anyway, so down there he actually has his kingdom. If you dive deep down enough, I'm not saying anybody should dive deep in the ocean to find Varuna. I'm not saying that, but in the stories it's explained like that. That once you have the father of Krishna, Nanda, he was going into the ocean at the wrong time, when it's not allowed. He took a bath, and then the constables of Varuna, they catched him because hey, you're not allowed to take bath at this time, and then they took him down to the throne of Varuna. Varuna was there, you silly man, why did you bathe at the wrong time? I'm going to punish you. But then some or other Krishna got down there to help him, to help his father. And then Varuna this is in the Krishna book actually, and then Varuna was, oh, Krishna is there, he's the supreme personality of God. He bowed down and he was very happy to have the darshan. And then Krishna, in that way, he saved his father.
I think there's another account on like all rivers flowing to the ocean. It's like all living entities are endeavoring for Krishna also.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, maybe that's in the Gita itself. This very nice.
I thought so, but I definitely that metaphor has been mentioned.
Yeah, the ocean is very central to Vedic or Hindu religion, including Vaishnava religion. It has not been explored maybe a lot in the recent years, but there's a lot to be explored there. I mean, as it's deep like the ocean.
But also, it's the same case as going to the moon, right? You need permission from the actual divas.
Yes, that's the point.
To gain entrance,
Yeah, you do. So back in the day, there were a lot of sages who spent a long time, down in the ocean because of having a relationship with the demigods much more deeper. This is impossible apparently in the age of Kali Yuga. But back in the day, there were a few, actually were spending a considerable amount of time in the netherworld, like that.
Maybe it's very difficult. I don't think it's impossible, but maybe the relation between the demigod and human is so poor at the time now that it's very, very difficult.
My understanding of it is that it's actually on the Adidivika level.
Yeah.
By meditation and being close to, you can say the portal or whatever you call it. It's the same way they explain you coming up to the Himalayas. If you get deep into the Himalayas, you actually can reach the heavenly planets from that place. From the Himalayas, you can actually reach high up to the abodes of the demigods. But that will of course be in the Adidivika feature, not with this gross body.
Like, on a subtle, a little more subtle platform.
Exactly.
You cannot go there by mechanical means.
Exactly. Because why I'm saying this is because one of our main links in our Sampradaya, Madhvacharya, he went there and met Vyasadeva there.
Oh.
So Vyasadeva is still actually there.
Yeah, I heard that actually.
And he got So he got darshan of Vyasadeva, and he got the knowledge from him.
Yeah.
And then he continued the parampara down here on the earth planet, like that. Because parampara is also working from Adi Atmika level and then down to Adi Daivika level and then down to Adi Bhautika level. Same thing. So that's why we have these links in our it's in all the four sampradayas. The same story. You have first you have Lord himself, then you have a demigod, and then you have a earthling. Yeah. So okay. So let's see. Let's go on. You like to read the next verse, Prabhu?
Okay. Maharshinam Burgur Aham Giram Asmi Ekam Aksharam Yagyanam Japa Yagno Shmi Stavaran Anam Himalaya. Of the great sages I am Bhrigu. Of vibrations I am the transcendental Om. Of sacrifices I am the chanting of the holy names, Japa, and of immovable things I am the Himalayas. Purport: Brahma, the first living creature within the universe, created several suns for the propagation of various kinds of species. Amongst these suns, Bhrigu is the most powerful sage. Of all the transcendental vibrations, Omkara represents Krishna. Of all sacrifices, the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is the purest representation of Krishna. Sometimes animal sacrifices are recommended, but in the sacrifice of Hare Krishna, there is no question of violence. It is the simplest and purest. Whatever is sublime in the world is a representation of Krishna. Therefore, the Himalayas is the great mountains in the world, the greatest mountains in the world, also represent him. The mountain named Meru was mentioned in a previous verse, but Meru is sometimes movable, whereas the Himalayas are never movable. Thus, the Himalayas are greater than Meru.
Well, let's see if I can digest this. Yes.
Brigu, maybe? Brigu?
Yeah, Brigu, yeah. Yeah, so let's see. Brigu. Yeah, so Brigu, he's the famous, sage. And, he's the original, kind of, you can say, well, he's one of the famous Brahmanas. He's a son of Brahma. So all, you can say many of the sons of Brahma, they're called Brahmanas. That's where the word Brahmana come from. So the thing that happened with Brigu, he was once, asked by, actually the demigods were wondering who is actually the greatest of Shiva, Vishnu and Brahma. You know the story. So he went down to test, who is actually the greatest. So he went to Lord Brahma, and Brahma is like, oh, my brother, Brigu. No, so my son Brigu. And he wanted kind of, to embrace him or something. And Brigu was just like, what did he do again? I don't remember.
I think he called him very lusty and everything. And
yeah, he didn't, he didn't, support him at all. He didn't want to do.
The chastisement.
Yeah, so in that way, Lord Brahma became angry. But he kind of controlled his anger. But anyway, Brigu could see that he became angry, so he went away, and then he went to Lord Shiva. And then Lord Shiva also wanted to embrace him, or and then, again, Brigu was, I don't want to have anything to do with you. You're just hanging out in crematoriums, and, And Brigu again, so he made again, Lord Shiva also angry, as similar as Brahma become angry. And then he went to Vishnu, and now he told him, let's just try and, kind of accelerate this a little bit. So so Vishnu was seeing, oh, Brigu. And Brigu didn't say a word. He just went and did a karate kick on Lord Vishnu's chest. And then Vishnu was like, oh, I'm sorry that your delicate foot hit my hard chest, I'm so hard-hearted. So he wanted to offer Brigu a massage, I'm sorry, that my hard chest is not suitable for landing of your beautiful soft, foot.
So like his chest was now become a holy place. Because,
yeah, now it's become a holy place. He was coming, and Brigu was completely amazed. Lord Vishnu's, because this is a sign of opulence, that you're not, nothing can really, do anything to. This is actually the real sign that you are God, right? So he was amazed, and he just understood this is the Lord, and he went back to report the good news to the demigods. But there was one person who was not happy, and guess who that was? That was the wife of Vishnu, Lakshmi Devi, goddess of fortune. So immediately she just uttered a curse that from now on these rascal brahmanas in the family of the likes of Brigu, they should not have my favor. So that's why brahmanas from that time they're not very much favored by gods of fortune. That means they're poor.
Oh.
So whenever you see a brahmana, a real brahmana actually, he will have not too much of money or wealth or nothing like that. His only richness is his tapas. Huh?
That's actually such a funny account story.
Yeah, his only wealth is his tapasya, it said. So the tapasya is the wealth of the brahmanas, their austerities. Yeah, so, but of course it doesn't mean you have to sleep on a bed of nails every night. But the austerity is more to have the good qualities, to be very tolerant, humble, and all these.
And it's actually too much expensive to have a bed of nails. Just sleep directly on the ground.
Yeah, probably that's the better idea. Yeah. And of vibrations, I am the transcendental Om. So that's the first vibration in the universe. And it's the seed of transcendence, actually. It's the seed of transcendental knowledge. And there is some kind of story. Well, there is a story, actually. There is this Om. It's a personified. Everything, in our books, there is a person, right?
Yeah.
So Om was a person, and he did tapas. He did tapasya for so long time, and then he got, granted the boon that he, in the utterances of Vedic mantras, you should have Om in the front, if they should be, accepted. by the gods. So whenever there is a fire sacrifice or something, whenever any Vedic mantra, you should say Om first. So sometimes in some circles, not in Hare Krishna movement, but when they say the Hare Krishna mantra, they say Om first. So they Om Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram Hare. Yes, because Om is actually for everything that's in the Vedas. Huh?
Say like Om Namo Bhagavate.
Yeah, Om is signifying, that this is really divine, holy.
Yeah, so Nama Om Vishnu.
Yeah, so Om you can put in front of everything that's actually really 100% pure. And since Hare Krishna mantra is appearing, actually in the original Upanishad, which is part of the Vedas, that's why they put it there. Yeah, so enough sacrifices. I'm the chanting of the whole names, japa. So there's so many sacrifices where you use fire. Sometimes even kill an animal and put on the fire, right? There's Ashwamedha Yaga, a horse sacrifice. You have the Gomedha, cow sacrifice. These are not allowed in the Kali Yuga, however. But generally, sacrifices are kind of costly. Not just kind. It's very costly and big arrangement, and even a little bit violent. Sometimes very violent. But japa is not violent at all. It's a nama yaga, especially when you have the chanting of whole names. It's the most non-violent, peaceful, sacrifice you can do.
That's very sweet.
And effortless also, in the sense, especially in the sense of chanting the whole names. So that's why it's number one. And of immovable things, I am the Himalayas. I just mentioned the Himalayas. It can actually move because it's a person. But in the Kali Yuga, they're not really moving. Actually, they didn't move since when? Since Indra, he cut off their wings. So, since today is a little far out day, we have telling many far out stories. Whenever you're speaking about demigods, it's going to be far out.
Yeah.
Because everything about demigods, the Adidayavika level is completely far out. It's always very much impossible here on earth what is happening in the demigod planets. That's why they're demigods, because they can do things. Things are happening there which are impossible here. So originally in Satyuga, the mountains were persons, as I explained, You have, Parvata, you have Govardhan is also a person, and they all had, wings. They were flying. There is some kind of, I don't remember, but there are some stories when Indra, he became angry at them, and he just was up in the skies, and he just, with his thunderbolt, he cut off all their wings. Because, I think because they created trouble for others. Flying mountain is want to land somewhere. It may squeeze some people, I don't know. So, Indra, he was tired of these flying mountains, so he cut off their wings. And since then, they have been stationary. Okay, so we can go to the next verse. You like to read?
Yeah. Ashva Tha Sarva Vrikshanam Deva Rishinam Cha Narada Gandharvanam Chitraratha Siddhanam Kapilomuni. Of trees I am the banyan tree, and of the sages amongst the demigods I am Narada. Of the Gandharvas I am the Chitrarata, and among perfected beings I am the sage Kapila. Purport. The banyan tree, Ashvatha, is one of the highest and most beautiful trees, and people in India often worship it as one of their daily morning rituals. Amongst the demigods, they also worship Narada, who is considered the greatest devotee in the universe. Thus, he is the representation of Krishna as a devotee. The Gandharva plant is filled with entities who sing beautifully, and amongst them is the best singer is Chitrarata. Among the perfected living entities, Kapila, the son of Devahuti, is a representative of Krishna. He is considered an incarnation of Krishna, and his philosophy is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Later on, another Kapila became famous, but his philosophy was atheistic. Thus, there is a gulf of difference between them.
Okay, thanks so much. Let's see if we can get some more knowledge of this. Yeah, so the banyan tree, Ashwata, it's explained that actually this, it's worshipped, yeah? And it's because there is an account that actually all the three, Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu, they're residing in that tree. Yeah.
Oh.
It's the abode of the Trinity. Yeah. So if you do pradakshina, like walk around them by the right. Dakshina means right. So with the right side, we always do circumambulation. Yeah. So if you do that, it's the same as walking around Shiva, Vishnu, and Brahma. Yeah. So in the root, Brahma is residing. In the middle, Vishnu is residing, and on top, Lord Shiva is residing. Yeah. So like that. What was the other thing mentioned here?
Narada.
Narada, yeah.
As the great sages of the demigods, he's Narada.
Yeah. So that's he's the he's appearing in every single Purana. Okay.
Yeah.
He's really very active.
Yeah.
He's even in the Upanishads. He's really very very significant. And he's the disciple of the four Kumaras, as far as I understand. He gets the Vidya, the Brahma Vidya, spiritual knowledge from them. And let's see.
Because in the Parampara picture we have it's directly from Brahma. It's directly to Narada.
Yeah. So you have you have a few different what did you say?
That there's no one mentioned in between on the picture, Parampara picture we have. There's no one mentioned between Narada and Brahma.
No, I know. There are a few different accounts actually. But if you kind of go in and see, you will see. I think this is mentioned in the Chandogya Upanishad actually. That Narada Muni he's taking instructions from the four Kumaras. Yeah.
Okay.
Or actually the Sanat Kumara is usually the first one. Who's giving the instructions.
There's also something mentioned about Narada's previous birth, wasn't it? Something like that?
Yeah, in the previous birth he was the son of a maidservant. That's accounted for in the Bhagavatam, and he just he took their uchista, the remnants of their food. After they've been eating, he just picked up the remnants and ate them, and then he became so purified. And this was during the rainy season. This is a very auspicious time for serving the sages because they're supposed to stay in just one place in that time. And so his mother, Narada Muni's mother, was serving them, and he also. And after that he became so spiritual, and then his mother died by a snake bite. So then it was all free for him to just wander like a self-manifested sage. Yeah. And Narada Muni is describing very nicely his mood. He says that he's free from any thirst after sense gratification. He's completely carefree. So he's like a self-manifested sannyasi right there. And he's just walking all over the world, actually, it's explained. And he sees metropolitan cities. He sees like all kinds of far out things. He walks high up in the mountain. He sees all the mystical beings and
and just meditating on the Lord within the heart.
Yeah. So actually there are a few. Narada is also kind of an epithet. It means the one who delivers. I think he said Narada iti Narada. He delivers the Naras, the people. He delivers them. He liberates them. But there is also another one. He gives knowledge to them. I pasted it in here. Naram Jnanam Dadati iti Narada. He who gives knowledge, of course, transcendental knowledge, but actually he gives other kinds of knowledge also. In many places, I mean, he gives astrological knowledge. He gives kind of technical knowledge also. He who delivers, people is called Narada. Yeah. Yeah. So and what was the next of the Gandharvas? Chitrarata. Yeah. Chitrarata. Gandharvas. They are also great fighters.
Oh.
They are really, I mean, Gandharvas, in general, they're really passionate people. They're very, beautiful and strong and great. They're most famous for music.
Yeah.
It's said that actually their influence is actually, what, sometimes there is like a saying in here that you have muses who are giving inspiration for music, right? You heard this? Muses? There's kind of a thing. That is some, like you have Beethoven or Mozart, they said, just from the blue, they just got the whole work, whole musical piece. Actually, it's said in the scripture that you get that from Gandharvas.
That makes sense.
Their whole loka is, full of, celestial singers, and also there is kind of an understanding that if you are a great, musician or like that, you may have been a Gandharva previously, just.
Yeah, or you have some connection with them or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So in that way there, and Chitraratha is actually, he is here said he's the best singer, but I also heard, I think he's the commander of the Gandharvas fighters actually in the Mahabharata, because at one point there is a fight between some Gandharvas and the Pandavas, and I'm pretty sure the leader there name was Chitraratha and something very similar. Okay, so then we have Kapila, Devahuti Putra. So Bhagavatam has a whole third canto almost, just of Kapila Devi's instructions to his mother, Devahuti. And then you have another Kapila, which is the atheistic Kapila. So there is a very very special thing, this how it came about. And to make it even more amazing. This Kapila, he went on as an ascetic, traveling around. He was like a sannyas, and he instructed one person who's called Asuri Brahmana. Yeah, Asuri was his name. He instructed him also in the metaphysics of Sankhya. And guess what? The atheistic Kapila, he also instructed a person with the name Asuri, who is another person, right? of the atheistic. Sankhya. So thus you have kind of two mirrors of the same, or you have the original Kapila and you have a mirror which is exactly the opposite.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it's very funny, and it's if anybody figures this out, please let me know. Yeah, but we stick, as Prabhupada said, we stick to the one Kapila which we call Devahuti Putra. Putra means son. One is the son of Devahuti. But today, when you talk about Kapila philosophy, it's quite dominated, and that if you do a search, you will get the atheistic version actually up.
Is it also like Vedic time, old ancient Vedic time, like, or was there later on another Kapila?
It seems that he came later.
He's a philosopher.
He is an atheist philosopher, and he came later. Yeah.
Was it like a modern-ish history?
I don't know how modern he was. Maybe somebody claimed it was just kind of a construction. I mean, nobody knows really, because you just have fragments of information here and there. But the one Kapila, which is the famous Kapila for us at least, he was in a place, I forgot the name, but he has his deity there, and he's worshipped at one place in India, where he was sitting and doing his meditation. Yeah.
Okay, so Kapila says it was about 500 BC.
Okay. Yeah, I have no idea about the year, but
Sankhya philosophy.
Yes, but he has his place called the Kapila Sagar, I think it's called. He has a temple there, and that there is worshipped as the incarnation of Krishna.
Oh.
So one of the features which we are, the main feature for us is that he's speaking about devotional service. If you look in the third canto, he will speak a lot about devotional service. He talks about different types of devotees according to different levels. They are behaving differently, and of course the Uttama Adhikari is the best. Then you have Madhyama Adhikari, and then you have Kanishta. So Kanishta Adhikari, he's very focused on the worship of the deities, and he considers what he is doing as the all in all, and he's very much a Pritak Drishti. He cannot see the oneness. He's only seeing himself, and very dualistic, like completely. So you cannot appreciate that other people also has the Lord in the heart. So Kapila himself is blasting, that kind of neophyte mentality. He says, if you do this, even if you worship me in the form of the deity, but don't worship me in the hearts of other living beings, he says, I just condemn that person birth after birth. Yeah, so he gives some very salient instructions which are important for our bhakti, Vaishnava process. The atheistic Kapila is shunning all the devotional philosophers altogether. He just sticks with building blocks: earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego, the senses, and so on. And in that way, he just comes to the conclusion that we as the soul, we are different from all these things. Hence, get liberated from all these things by being detached. Yeah. So in that way, a philosophy which is atheistic, because it doesn't involve, bhakti. Yeah. So we are very sure that the perfected being Krishna is referring to here is his own incarnation, of course, as Kapila, Devahuti Putra. Yeah. So let's see. You like to read the next one?
All right. Uchai Shravasam Ashvanam Vidhi Mam Amrto Bhavam Airavatam Gajendranam Naranam Cha Maradhipam.
Very good. Yeah.
A horse is known to be Uchai Hirshravam, produced during the churning of the ocean for nectar. Of lordly elephants, I am Airavata, and among the men I am the monarch. Purport: the devotee demigods and the demons, asuras, once took part in churning the sea. From this churning, nectar and poison were produced, and Lord Shiva drank the poison. From the nectar were produced many entities, of which there was a horse named Uchai Hirshrava. Another animal was produced from the nectar. It was an elephant named Airavata. Because these two animals were produced from nectar, they have special significance, and they are representatives of Krishna. Amongst the human beings, the king is the representative of Krishna because Krishna is the maintainer of the universe. And the kings who are appointed on account of their godly qualifications are maintainers of their kingdoms. Kings like Maharaj Yudhishthira, Maharaj Parikshit, and Lord Ram were all highly righteous kings who always thought of the citizens' welfare. In the Vedic literature, the king is considered to be the representative of God. In this age, however, with the corruption of the principles of religion, monarchy decayed and is now finally abolished. It is to be understood that in the past, however, people were more happy under righteous kings.
Very good. Thank you. So there are definitely something to say about this mentions here. So basically, it's all centered around the churning of the milk ocean, which is one of the most famous stories we have, from the Puranas. I mean, in Hinduism in general. So Uchai Shrava, that is, the, what does it say? It's a horse, right?
Yeah.
So apparently, yeah, I think the first thing that was churned out was, I think it was Lakshmi Devi. Yeah, she came first. Yeah. Sometimes they're giving the number that is 14 nice things which came out, and then you also got to know the. You get the halahal visha, the poison which Lord Shiva was asked to take.
Yeah.
And Lord Shiva did that, and that's why he became Nilakanta. He became bluish because of the poison. Just stopping in his neck, it didn't go further. Yeah. So this churning is kind of you can take it in a deep way. Also, it's happening inside ourselves. You can say we're churning, the Vedas. And good things are coming out, and there may also be some byproduct of some poison, but that is, of course, anger or frustration or whatever, which comes from the false ego, some or other, protesting, I don't know, and that is taken care of by Lord Shiva. If we are devotees, Lord Shiva will help us,
Yeah, you can essentially take this metaphor endlessly, almost, to any process which involves
exactly, and it's supposed to help us. These are Adidavika things which helps our mind. because our mind, when we do devotional life, our mind is resting on the devata level. That will help if we get to that level, and we not think so mundane anymore. We're thinking in a higher level. Then we can have these things churning, in our heart. Yeah. What did you say?
No, because even if we're connected with the scriptures, Vishnu and Krishna, there are great sages and devotees are immediately right there to help us.
Exactly. That's the point. They're immediately there to help us. Yeah.
These stories are taking place time after time in the mind.
Yeah. So in that way, if you go further, you can say the mind is representing Sattva Guna. Actually, it's created from Sattva Guna. That's why the mind is also called Sattva. And then, Kshira Sagara, the milk ocean is white, right? Because it's milk. So in that way, we can churn our mind. If we churn it positively, then we can get a lot of good things in life, right? Because everything we have in life is coming basically from our mind, and then it's manifested through our senses. So if we have sattvic lifestyle, then we get good things from a white mind, sattvic mind. So what was the other thing? We have the other manifestation there. What was that? The
elephant.
The elephant, yeah. That's the elephant of Indra, yeah.
Oh, no, was it Indra's elephant? Indra got the elephant, maybe.
Huh? Yeah, that's the point. He got it. You see, this is the amazing with these stories. It's like they didn't have it before. So the first thing was that Lakshmi, she came. And, she is the... again, we're back to the demigod level. It's not just an ocean.
Yeah.
You have the Samudra is a person. He's a Samudra Raja. He's ocean personified. So he wanted to marry his daughter to a proper, husband. Yeah, this is how it happened. So he's looking, where is the proper, daughter? And she is also looking, who is my proper husband? So he goes to and see, okay, here's this demigod, here's that, and she immediately, Lakshmi, is seeing some fault in all of them. And Shiva was also standing there, and she was like, he's not well dressed, Shiva was dressed, kind of poorly.
In rags.
yeah, with ashes, and so there is like a teaching there, that Vishnu, he was well dressed. Vishnu is very well, looking and well dressed.
Yeah.
So there is a poet who says, that if you want to have a good girl like Lakshmi, you better dress up well. Because Lakshmi Devi, she didn't want a man who was poorly dressed, like that. And then Vishnu, he is called Pitambara. He's have yellow, silken garments.
Yeah.
So he's very very handsome and beautiful. While who got the poison? That was Shiva, because he's wearing like skin, from the animals and like that.
Yeah.
So, but of course Shiva is okay with that. He's in charge of the mode of Tamaguna. So
Is there some connection here? Because the yogis recommended to have deer skin, sit on deer skin.
Yeah, the reason is actually there is a technical reason. That's there are snakes in the jungle, and the deer skin is something that the snakes doesn't like.
Okay.
So
there's some connection here.
There probably more, but this is one of the connections, that deer. If you sit on the deer skin in the jungle, I'm not saying don't blame me if you sit on the deer skin, the snake will bite you. But according to scripture, the snakes, they don't like the deer skin, the smell of it or whatever. I don't know, but some or other they stay away.
100% for real.
It probably must be for real.
Also,
yeah.
These deer are they're like closely connected with the rishis, aren't they? Because they will often transform into deer, and like they have.
The deer is quite prominent in our Vedic culture.
Yeah.
Back in the day, the Brahmanas, they didn't want to have sex in their human forms. Or usually, at least those Brahmanas who had a lot of tejas, they cannot shapeshift in today's Kali Yuga. They're not very good at that. But back in Dwapar Yuga and Treta Yuga and Satya Yuga, it was not a big feat for them to transform into deer, So they did that, when they kind of had this kind of more, other wishes. So that's why, we have this story, that in Dwapar Yuga, you have, the leader of the Pandavas. I mean, Pandu, the father of the 5 Pandavas, he was cursed, or he got cursed because he was out hunting, and he was hunting for deer, and he was shooting, and then it was actually a female and male deer who had sex, and then when you shoot them, then they started speaking to him and said, hey, we are Brahmana couple, and what are you doing? And then that, and the Brahmana cursed immediately Pandu that next time when you are about to have sex, you will die.
Yeah.
And Pandu, he hadn't got actually the 5 Pandavas yet. He was still haven't gotten any children. So he asked Kunti, please now you get busy, because Kunti had gotten a mantra where she could call the demigods. So then Kunti, she called the sun god. She got now wait a minute, sun god was before. That was the actually before.
Yeah, sun god gave the boon. And then
she got actually sun god. Kunti got with sun god before. That was in secret. She got Karna, but she didn't tell anybody.
Oh yeah.
But actually, she was asking Dharmaraj to come, and she got Arjuna. And then she asked, after that, she asked Vayu to come, the wind god, and she got Bhima. And then she asked
Indra?
Dharmaraj. I think you mentioned Dharmaraj.
Oh,
and
then was Dharmaraj.
Yeah, and then came Yudhishthir. Yeah, first, because he's the eldest brother. You're right.
Yeah.
And then, so she had 3 sons now, and then, the co-wife, that was, what's her name again? I don't remember. Kunti and Madri. So she was kind of, unhappy. She also wanted to have some children. So Kunti was compassionate, and she gave some mantras to her, and she called, Ashwini Kumaras, which are the 2, twin brothers. These twins are actually also representing all over the world. You have them in a horoscope and everywhere. So these celestial twins, they then gave the 2 sons, Nakula and Sahadeva. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know they came from a different lady. That they were from Kunti.
They are the 2 sons of Madri. Yeah.
Okay.
So in that way you have the 5 Pandavas, and that was because Pandu himself had been cursed that if he would have sex he would die, because he was shooting 2 stags, which were actually Brahmanas. Yeah.
But he was even unable to to hold himself just pretty soon after, right? And then he had to quit his body.
Then he wanted to have sex with Madri, and then he died.
Yeah.
And then Kunti said, okay, I will go on the funeral pyre with my husband, because that was the tradition back then. The chaste wife, she wanted to go wherever the husband would go. So, pious husband would go, to heavenly planets, or even to Vaikuntha. But then Madri said, I was the cause of this, and anyway, you have this, you are the eldest, and this and that. So she volunteered to actually go on the funeral pyre together with Pandu. So then Kunti stayed back with the 5 Pandavas. Yeah, and then you have a long story. They were going through a lot of stuff. Yeah.
But so much to go into here. We're actually trying to get through the whole Gita here.
Yeah, but this time, it's so many nice stories. We're churning, like churning the milk ocean. So this poison, you can say, it represents, various, psychological problems that may pop up for people who actually become serious in spiritual sadhana. Because we're trying to churn in something good, we're trying to churn our mind, but then even poison is coming. Why is that? It's because of past bad samskaras, which are popping up.
Even begin to imagine all the different.
They may have buried for a long time, and they come up and give us trouble. But then with continued nice practice and help from Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, we are able to get through it. Just as Lord Shiva is very merciful, he can help. He's the Adi Guru also. He's representing the Guru. Yeah. So you actually have this kind of different things. The different gurus have explained. It's said that one of them is like you have deeper problems deep down in the unconscious mind, which we may not even be aware of. They are giving troubles. And then you have that the mind is kind of stuck. That's another kind of problem. It's not able to go forward or backward. Yeah. And there is there is so many kinds of different things. But what is the remedy for that? It is to pray to the Lord. So they all pray to Lord Shiva to help. please take this poison, please help. And then Shiva, okay, I'll do it. So in the way, if we can go to Lord and ask for help, of course we go to Krishna, who is the source of Shiva.
Yeah.
And he can absorb, this poison for us. Yeah.
It's like this whole mood of praying for devotional service.
Exactly. That's the thing. And then we can enjoy the Amrit, which was also coming, from the churning on the milk ocean also coming, the deathless nectar. Like that. So to avoid the poison by the help of the Lord, and then we can enjoy the nectar of eternality. That's the idea. Yeah. Did you read? Yeah, I think we can read the next one if you like.
Yeah, unless you want to speak on the monarch.
Oh yeah, sorry. I could speak on that. Among men, I am the monarch. Yeah. So Naradipa. Yeah, huh? What does it say in the Sanskrit, Naradipa?
Naradipam. Yeah, Adhipam.
What does the Sanskrit say about that in the word for word?
Adhipam.
Yeah, Adhipam. Yeah.
There was this Adhi, Daiva, Adhi.
Yeah, I mean it means something that's over. Adhi means something that's over or relating to, but in a kind of. So it means the one.
Adi with no edge.
Yeah, that's different, because that means first. It's kind of a little bit similar, but still different.
I thought Adi was to be present somewhere.
Yeah, it also means that. So it means different things.
And Pam.
No, that comes as it's an object. Just like you say, Gajendra, and now it's Gajendra Anam. See, all of this has this am. It means it's objective. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a thing. Yeah. In the grammar. Yeah. Like that. Like you say, Nara, and now is Nara Anam, and now it's also in the plural, Nara Anam. Yeah. So the monarch is, he's representing, he's representing Bhagavan, and you have two different kinds of lineages. As I said, a few times, that monarch is coming in the bloodline. It really is a Adibautika thing, actually. It's coming, it's the son of a king who can be a king, really. So that's why Prabhupada said in the end of the purport, that monarchy is decayed and is now finally abolished. Because
always in the stories and such, it's like the son of the king is always like destined to be the next king.
Yes, it has to be like that, because you need to have it in the blood. Yeah. There's something specific about
some princess or something from another kingdom.
Yeah, that's why you see all over the world. If you look at how kingdoms were in the West and everywhere, it was a lot of what do you call this thing, where they're inbreeding.
Yeah.
Because people only wanted their hair to be inside another kingdom somewhere. They should all be of the royal class. It's very important.
That makes sense though, because bad relation with other kingdoms, and then you just have your small little kingdom that you want to continue to inbreed or whatever.
Yeah, but even it's better even that they have even a daughter or son can marry somebody from even the enemy camp. That can also even happen.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of keeping the monarchy blood.
Yeah.
But the worst thing was if they lost that bloodline. That's the idea. But sometimes they could call a rishi to keep the bloodline going. That was accepted, but it had to be a pure brahmana. So that's the example we have in the Mahabharata, that they call Vyasadev to continue the bloodline, right? Because he's a rishi, then it's accepted. As long as he's not less than a kshatriya, then it's okay.
Was this like the brother of Bhishma or something?
Yeah, exactly. It was Bhishmadev. He.
Yeah, he vowed to stay brahmachari.
He took a vow to stay brahmachari. He was the son of Shantanu, and then he had two brothers, and both of these two brothers they died.
Yeah.
And then you have this, three. There were originally three wives of. Actually, it was two wives of Vichitravirya. No, yeah, Vichitravirya. Or was it?
Was Bharat, that the father of Bhishma, or was Bharat Bhishma's brother?
Bharat. Oh, I think
there was a Bharat also.
Oh yeah.
Bharat.
You mean Bharat, who is? There are a few Bharats in history. But if
Okay.
the King Bharat is coming a little bit later, or if I'm not wrong. But you have a few different Bharats. It can actually be a little confusing. There are three great Bharats. One is the Bharat which became a deer. That's another one. And then you have the Bharat which was the brother of Lord Rama. That's another Bharat.
Oh.
But this Bharat I think you're pointing to, that's the Bharat who was like the very strong son of Shakuntala, I think. Yeah.
He was like the founder of the whole
Yeah.
dynasty.
I think that's Bharat, the son of Shakuntala, who is famous for wrestling with lions and tigers. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, because he's referring always to Arjuna as best of the Bharats.
Yeah. So sorry. So it was of course before, not later. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're completely right. Sorry. Of course it was before, not later. Yeah. So the righteous king, it was it's only in Kali Yuga we are bereft of this, unfortunately. Kali Yuga is the place where everything goes down. Yeah. And mainly it's because you don't have a righteous king to make the system go properly.
Yeah, everything is actually Prabhupada. Actually, he points out pretty much every mistake of the modern.
So there are many people who don't believe in this. That you had great kings, but actually you can just look in the history all over the world. There are so many stories of the great kings.
Yeah.
And the farther you go back in history, the more holy they are.
Also in folktale, it's like people who worship the kings. Also in folktale.
Yeah, they are most worshipable everywhere, really.
Yeah.
Because they were, the protectors of the people. Who wouldn't you love more than the king?
Yeah.
He's making, a life good for everybody.
Yeah.
He's protecting you, he's giving you what you need, making sure their morals are high and everything.
Yeah.
So the tales of the kings were very popular and broadcasted everywhere. That was before we got this so-called mass media we have today. So when the king is away, all this stuff is going on, and we have action heroes instead of the king to talk about, which are just actors in the real sense of the term, right?
But they're like they're figures or symbols or something of the old kings, like
Yes.
how they should act. Right?
So not a bad word about actors, but this is just the state of affairs that it's because we're missing.
With a little bit of salt or something.
Yeah, it's because we're missing
So
heroes.
they sell out
Yeah.
to some completely demoniac thing, and represent something terrible,
Yeah, usually people are very good. It's just the age itself is making the great times, more and more in the past. Actually, we can all blame, Kali personified. He's the one soul which rules this age. And it said that
This is really get us going started in Krishna consciousness, because if we're too happy here, maybe we're just absorbed in this and that, and our profession or whatever.
What was your question?
No, because is Kali really riling up the whole planet because to get us engaged in devotional service?
Well, I don't know. I think he's given a specific task, and that is he's just representing everything that's evil, really.
Yeah.
He's like a devil or something like this. Yeah.
But it has to be for a reason. Everything is for a good reason.
Yes.
And,
So it's like he's
has a
commanded.
benefit for devotees,
Yeah. So of course
devotional
everything at the end of the day is to make us uneasy in the material world, so that we want to go to the spiritual world. So Kali Yuga is created like this, that you have these bad you can say instructions given to different people to mess up life. So in that way it's going on. Like you can say Kali is one of them. Yeah. But just stick around for the whole Kali Yuga. After 432,000 years, then Kalki Devi is coming, the incarnation of Krishna riding on a white horse. He's killing all the
Such
demons.
a long time. I
Yeah.
wonder if in the meantime we're going to lose access to all this sublime knowledge and sublime literature.
Yeah,
and
the
art.
chanting of the whole name will continue. Yeah, it said that there are a few. Huh?
For a while, but is it the whole 400?
Well, at least for 10,000 years. Yeah.
I wonder how it's going to be.
You may not want to find out, but actually it said devotees will always be on the planet. Some or other, die-hard devotees, they will still be there, and there will only be one temple left, and that's Jagannath Puri.
Oh, really?
And there will only be one. Of course, maybe it's just like maybe there will be something else, but the main temple, or pretty much the only temple with that, and the only deity will, because it said the only deity will be a deity of wood. And that must be a reference to Lord Jagannath, who's created of wood. And then the other place, the Ganga will still be there, and people will bathe in Ganga. Yeah.
Oh.
Other rivers, I mean, this is going to be the most prominent. It still is already is.
This is you mentioned something like it's exactly like in performance when Krishna does a lila or pastime or something, incarnation.
Yeah.
It's like, it's finished, the time is up, and they just pack everything up, and everything just leaves. Everyone just leaves.
Yes. The winding up of the lila. Yeah. This is how it works. That's how Krishna ended his lila. He had the Maushala lila, which is called the end, where you have all the family members of Krishna. They just had a great drinking party, and because they were cursed, because you have this story that there were some of the children of Krishna headed by Shamba. They wanted to make a prank on the rishis or the sages. So they dressed up Shamba as a woman, and they put inside his some cloth or something that he looked like he had a big belly, and they went to the rishis and said, what do you think, dear saints, who's going to be the offspring? And the saints, they said, your offspring will be an iron club, which will be the source of destruction for your whole dynasty. And terrified, they took up the belly. I mean, where before they had something else, but now it was just an iron club, which was there. And immediately they went to Ugrasena, the leader, the king of Dwarka. That happened in Dwarka actually. And they said, now we're cursed by a sage. This club is going to bring the destruction to our whole dynasty. And then Ugrasena said, okay, just powder this club into dust. So somewhere or other they managed to powder this into iron dust, and they threw it out in the sea. And there was a little bit left in a little lump, just like, for example, when you're shredding carrots, right? And there's a little bit left, and you don't bother, shredding that, right? So in the same way, it was a little lump left of this iron club, and that was also thrown into the sea. So that little lump, it was swollen by swollen by a fish, and that fish was caught by a fisherman named Jara, a hunter actually, named Jara, and he saw that nice little metal, little iron piece, and he was making that into the point of his arrow. And this dust, the iron dust, it was coming washing up to the shore where there was bamboo sticks, and it made the bamboo sticks so hard, that they became like weapons. So later on, they're taught, let's go to this place of sacrifice. All the family members of Krishna, they're called the Kaurava dynasty. Thousands and thousands, hundreds and thousands of them. They went there and they told them, let's have a big sacrifice now, in order to bring some auspiciousness to counteract this curse. But first of all, let's have a little drink, because they're kshatriyas. So they had some nice, I think it was rice, made of rice, putrefied rice. So they had some rice wine or something, and they started drinking too much, and they started getting into arguments. This is just a story to show how the bad effects of intoxication. And so they get it into arguments, and one was pushing the other, and there was this bamboo sticks who were hard like iron, being filled with iron powder. So he kind of hurt himself, and then why you hit me on this? And then he was pulling up one of these bamboo sticks and used it as a weapon to beat the other one. And soon, and that one fell on another one, and you know how it works. So soon, the whole dynasty started fighting and killing each other.
Oh my God.
And they just actually destroyed each other, and even Krishna Balaram took part, in fighting. You can even see the picture, yeah. Because it's all Lord's plan. In Bhagavatam, it explained this is just a theater play, just for the sake of atheists, so they have some excuse.
That's really funny.
Yeah. So the atheists can just they can just think that this is all just nonsense. I will not subscribe to this Hare Krishna thing.
It's actually something they do in theaters when they're like, oh, we're gonna finish this theater, but we don't know how, and then just invent some crazy story.
Yeah, I've seen a movie who does the same. Some movies are doing that, and they really destroy the whole movie.
Yeah.
But anyway, this was actually very fun how Krishna did
It's
it.
really funny.
So after the whole dynasty is finished, they're all dead. Then Krishna is still alive. He just goes and he sits by the Yamuna and resting. Under a banyan tree. With his feet out. He's showing his foot. And then in the meantime, this hunter Jara is out there in the jungle, and he's coming close to Krishna from far away, and he sees the foot of Krishna is reddish, the heel of Krishna is like reddish. That's one of his beauty marks, and the hunter Jara, he thinks this is a nose of a deer, a red nose. So he shoots Krishna in the heel with this with this pointed arrow with a made of this iron, lump. And he kills Krishna. I mean, of course, Krishna can't die, but it looks like Krishna then. And he comes close and says, "Oh, I killed Krishna." Krishna is famous, everybody knows who Krishna is in the kingdom. So he starts, "Oh, what have I done? I killed the Supreme Personality of Godhead." So he starts doing parikram around Krishna, walking around him as a sign of respect, And then, then he kind of, I don't know what happened. He hears a voice from the sky or something. "Don't worry, this is all my plan." And then comes the Vaikuntha airplanes, swan airplanes with, the Vaikuntha palace, the constables from Vaikuntha. They're very beautiful people, and they come and just pick him up, and he can also now have a free ride back to Vaikuntha, together with Krishna.
Yeah. He took part in the Leela,
yeah. So.
It's really funny.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's really completely crazy. But these are Krishna's leelas. And if you look at any leela also of all the other gods, they are similarly wild.
So satisfying to hear.
Yeah, it is, So, where were we in the verse? Which verse did we come to?
Oh, I think you mentioned about the monarch.
Yeah, exactly. So now we're on text 28, right?
Yeah.
So Ayodhyanam aham vajram denunam asmi kamaduk pradyanas chasmi kandarpa sarpanam asmi vasukihi. Of weapons I am the thunderbolt, among cows I am the surabi, of causes for procreation I am Kandarpa, the god of love, and of serpents I am Vasuki. Maybe we have mentioned a few of these before.
In some previous lecture, yeah, but we haven't mentioned any of these except Kandarpa. That's Cupid, right?
Yeah, him we have mentioned, yeah. I think we mentioned him just now when we talked about Lord Shiva. And Prabhupada says in the purport that the thunderbolt, indeed a mighty weapon, represents Krishna's power. So of course the thunderbolt in itself, Vajram, is the weapon of Indra. And you know how that is manifested? As the lightning.
It really is the most impressive weapon, I think, the thunderbolt.
It is this the lightning which you see when there is a thunderstorm. Yeah. So it's explained that previously, or maybe it's even going on now, Indra was using that to kind of trim, the mountains. He made them more flat actually, like that. Yeah. And probably to just hone his skills, or like when he's training, he may just attack some mountains, I guess. And in Krishna Loka, in the spiritual sky, there are cows which can be milked at any time. This is the thing. In the material world, you have to milk them in the morning, right?
I'm not sure, actually.
At least that much I caught, when I've been in farms, that you have to milk them early in the morning. I don't know if they also milk them in the evening.
I really don't know.
But here, you can milk them at any time, and they give as much milk as one likes. So in that way, they're called wish-fulfilling cows. Is another name of so here it's called Kamaduk, or it's also called Kamadenu. Yeah, and here it's translated to Surabi. Yeah, so of course such cows do not exist in this material world, but there is mention of them in Krishna Loka, which also is called Goloka. It's a planet of the cows. So there is full of them there. The Lord keeps many such cows which are called Surabi. It is stated that the Lord is engaged in herding the Surabi cow. Yeah. And then Kandarpa is the sex desire for presenting good sons. Therefore, Kandarpa is the representative of Krishna. Sometimes sex is engaged in only for sense gratification. Such sex does not represent Krishna, but sex for the generation of good children is called Kandarpa and represents Krishna. Yeah, I think Kandarpa is one of the names. The god of love has different names. You actually have the original Kandarpa is in the spiritual world, actually. The god of love. And there, he shoots always with 5 arrows. You heard about that? He has 5 arrows. It's a flower arrows, actually.
Wow.
And I don't have the verse here, but there's a famous verse which explains in the material world the effects when somebody becomes hit by the god of love, right? Fall in love or something like that, or becomes lusty. Yeah. Then these 5 effects, I don't remember maybe 100%, but one of them is, I don't remember the Sanskrit, but one of them is that one becomes stunned. I don't know, can you explain stunned what does it mean? You become like frozen or something like that.
Yeah. Do you want a Norwegian description or what?
No, I don't know. I mean, I just want it to be understood. But if you understand it, then it's fine.
Oh yeah. To be captured like.
Yeah, and another one is that one becomes stupefied. That's also a difficult English word, but it becomes you kind of dumbed down or something. Yeah. And another one is that one becomes you can say mad. Yeah. After enjoyment. Yeah. Or you can say just outright lusty. Yeah, like that. You get the drill. Things like this is happening, one after the other. It's like actually a progression. So then one has been hit, properly by all the 5 arrows of Cupid. But then, in the spiritual world, the same thing happens for the devotee. He's also shot by the 5 arrows of the transcendental Cupid. And then similarly, he falls in love with Krishna. Yeah. Okay, so text 29. Of the many hooded Nagas I am Ananta, and among the Quaptics I am the demigod Varun. We spoke about him, yeah. Of the parted ancestors I am Aryama, and among the dispensers of law I am Yama, the lord of death. Yes, so Ananta, I think we spoke about him before. He's the one which Lord Vishnu is resting on.
Oh, yeah.
And he has thousands of hoods, and all of the hoods are singing the glories of the Lord.
Yeah, it's really.
And it's explained in Bhagavatam that he has sung these glories of the Lord since time immemorial, and still he didn't stop. It's always new glories coming up. That's pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And then Varuna is ruling very nicely all the aquatics. And Aryama, now this is pretty esoteric. It's very difficult to understand really the position of the Pitris. So Aryama is the one who is ruling the Pitris. It's a Pitri Nam. So they have their own planet, which actually is the planet of Yamaraj. So there are the departed ancestors. They're residing there, and they're taken care of by the family members who are still on Earth planet doing something called Pinda. They're offering some food stuffs like that. So in that way they are doing all right in the Pitri Loka. Yeah. And if the family members become saints and become great devotees like that, these people who are Pitris or are on the Pitri Loka, they can actually be promoted later on to heaven. Yeah.
But they will promoted, but once you heaven, you fall down from, right?
Yeah, of course, it's not eternal, but they can be promoted there, so they will be a little bit better off.
So it's like the equivalent of someone who's in jail. He will like, oh, now you're a millionaire, outstanding citizen, just because you have pious.
It's very, very difficult to really pinpoint the exact situation. It's very esoteric, but that's my impression that they're kind of in a nice waiting room or something. They're taken care of there. And then you have, for example, I can give an example. In the Mahabharata, you have the Pandavas. There was one they met one person who had been there. I don't remember who had been to Pitri Loka. And then the Pandavas are asking, or Arjuna is asking, so, you were in Pitri Loka. How was our father doing there? How was Pandu doing? because they know that their father is there. Because great people, like great kings, they are residing very nicely there. So it's like, yeah, and then the answer is, yeah, I talked with your father Pandu, and he's waiting, that you should finish your mission very nicely, so that he will be promoted to the heavenly planets as a result
so
of.
Like a waiting room. Yeah.
What did you say?
No, it's like you said. You mentioned it was like a waiting room, and he was a little bit eager, to go to heaven.
Yeah, like that. So the five Pandavas, they were doing their good job. They're rooting for the father, that he will get
Yes.
part of their pious credits and go to heaven.
Yeah.
So and Aryama is
That's pretty much all of the Mahabharata is like that. The son's trying to get the fathers to heaven, or get themselves to heaven. Somehow,
exactly. Even though they are also devotees, so this is actually an amazing thing, that devotees can also operate, in the Adidayvika level pretty much. Actually, as far as I'm concerned, it looks like devotees cannot just bypass this Adidayvika level. We say we don't worship demigods, of course we don't, but we have to deal with that level. We have to acknowledge its existence in order to come to the spiritual world.
It's so helpful, to remember all these stories, and I cannot help but to grow some attachment to all the different characters and demigods in different ways.
Yeah, I mean, you can just look at other religions also, like Christianity. They are talking a lot about the angels, right?
Yeah.
So these things are like very important. But anyway, so yeah, and then Yamaraj, of course, we already know him, right? He's the Lord of Death, and he has, actually it's said, there are some instances, it's actually explained in one place, that if somebody rings on your door and you open up, and you see, a person in a great black cape, like from the top of the head and all the way down to the feet, and he has red protruding eyes, like angry red eyes, and he's keeping, what do you call this, like man med jon, what do you call this?
Scythe.
Yeah, he keeps that in the head. Then you know your time for death has arrived.
Yeah, and it's probably his. These red eyes are usually a symbol for he's a little bit angry.
Yes, so this is actually how it's explained. He's looking like that, or one of his forms. As you know, the demigods can have different shapes. That's another thing actually. They not necessarily only have one form actually. That's another thing about the devatas. But this is, at least in his fierce form, he looks like that.
Among the dispensers of law is Yama.
Yeah, so dispensers, is an interesting word. So it says Yama Sam Yama Tam. Yeah, so Yama means, to restrict. Yeah. It means to restrict, so he's kind of restricting people, or giving people, punishment or whatever, arresting people, something like that. So he has his constables named the Yamadutas, and they are very ugly and terrible looking. So if somebody dies and they have been kind of qualified to be visited to get some punishment, then they are usually very scared at the time of death, because these people come and only the dead person can see them, because they're subtle. Yeah, and you have other people who would
Also, so Sanskrit grammatics. I'm wondering, this Yama Tam, is it amongst all regulators?
Yeah,
But,
it's like amongst the. I think it
Yama
means all of them. Yeah, something like that.
Like in Bhagavatam, it's a short A in this Tam, right?
Yeah, their Bhagavatam is just an object. It's the beauty, you can say, the beautiful thing. Yeah. All this is like when you talk about an object, you're describing an object. Yeah.
But
So
it's Tam, or is it Tam?
yeah, so here you have some Yamatam. Yeah, so this is kind of I don't remember how it works now, but something like that. It has to do with that. It's of that.
It seems so complicated. Now I just need to.
Yeah, it's not that complicated if you get into it. It works good thing about Sanskrit, it works according to the book.
Yeah.
Sometimes, of course, you have irregularities. That also happens a lot, that people are just doing some shortcuts or doing something like unheard of. But still, you can kind of make sense of it when you have the have the facet, you know. But yeah, it's complicated, that's for sure. But it's a very logical system.
Yes, I trust completely in that. If Prabhupada said it's a perfect language, then I trust completely.
Yeah, intellectuals all over the planet have always, you know, glorified Sanskrit.
Yeah.
Really, as really the best system ever, really, of language. Yeah, so actually we can stop there because the clock is nearly 4 o'clock. I was thinking we could get through everything, but we still have 12 verses left.
Yeah. It's quite a few verses left.
Yeah. So I mean, we can do them tomorrow. There's no need to rush through all this because there is so many nice, gods to mention.
Maybe you need to change also the title because in the title it says 10:19 to 10:42.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to do that. Sometimes I write too long and I have to change it after. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah.
Yeah.
At least now the sound was good because I put back to our original, mic.
Which one is that you have now? It's like.
It's the mic of my laptop.
Oh, the sound. Okay.
Yeah. This is the one I use also when we have kirtans. It's actually quite good.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
so
just,
yeah.
It's a bit unlucky that these filtration things, they completely mess up the sound.
Yeah. It's I don't know how much you have to pay, you know, to get a filter who has some real artificial intelligence.
It's software, but a good software can pretty much filter out anything and leave the original audio.
Yeah, of course it must be. So I think, you know, I could just find some software, and I can use that.
It's actually very funny. On Discord they have a really good software.
Okay.
But you can also get them separately downloaded.
Yeah. So I could just ask it to only filter away, you know, the keyboard sounds and nothing else.
We can also look into hopping on Discord, but we can fix this later.
Very good. Yeah. Super. Okay. So thank you so much for now. See you later.